Better than the movies.
You're on.
All right, let's call the meeting to order at 6:35 PM.
Motion to open.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. All right, first order of business, public hearing to ascertain the needs, possibilities, resources, and preferences for community preservation projects, and to hear comments, questions on the 2026 request for proposal application and the submission guidelines.
Motion to open the hearing at 6:33,
Seconded.
Call it 6:35, shall we?
6:35 PM, yep.
Still seconded.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, public hearing is open.
Well, it appears we have members of the public.
By all means, step up to the mic, introduce yourself, say your piece.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we sit down over there?
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's America.
That's why I did it.
I like that. Thank you for being so considerate.
He knew what you wanted before you even said.
Perfect. So thank you very much for holding this hearing this evening. My name's Rebecca Oldham. I am the town administrator, and I'm here with,
Stephen McPherson, Buildings and Facilities Supervisor.
so I actually have two projects to put forward, but the first, I do have a handout for the committee. Take one and pass it down. That'd be great.
Yep. I can follow instructions.
I know you can, Kevin.
I've been married for 52 years. I can follow instructions.
Makes all the difference. So this project, we're titling it the Shanahan Field Bathroom Facility Replacement. So I'm sure many of you have frequented the Shanahan Field at some point in time and have noted that the facilities are not in great condition at the current moment. They have oftentimes been closed, and we've had to invest a significant amount of money, being whether it the town or whether it be the Groveland Youth Soccer. So some background in regards to this is that in 2013, the Community Preservation Committee had approved 98,000, or about, the project total was 95,000. I'm not 100% certain on what the CPC allocation was. I can find that out for the committee, to construct a bathroom. And so the plans that we found as part of the application were not necessarily what was constructed at the site. What you have at the site is more of an RV-type style facility with a holding tank, not necessarily connected to sewer, when sewer is and has been in Main Street. So recently, the facility has started to fail, and it's become very costly for us to repair. And Steve can speak more to some of the failures that we've recently had.
Okay, so RV toilets, there's like an electric actuator that opens and closes, and having anything electric in a public bathroom is just a horrible idea. So that's failed twice this year. And I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but Groveland Youth Soccer is gonna meet us halfway for this repair. We haven't proceeded yet, but they were okay with that, and that'll get them through the season. Also, we have to pump it every year. I mean, it's, when we have the sewer line right there, it's a no-brainer to hook up to it. It's a little deep, but in the numbers that we have, we budgeted for the depth. The seasonal opening and closings are also a problem. Like Groveland Youth Soccer, in their agreement for this, they were gonna do all the maintenance on it. So I didn't hear anything out of Shanahan for 7 years. But then kids age out, and I don't know if the knowledge didn't get passed forward, but they let everything freeze, and that cost a lot of money to fix that. So then we kind of jumped in. It's like, hey, when we close up the Pines, we'll have the plumbers go over and blow out all the lines at Shanahan. That works, but those electric toilets, the second year in a row, they're not functioning. The one isn't. One is, one isn't. And unfortunately, the one that's working is in the non-ADA accessible side. The step is probably 12 or 14 inches up.
But that just highlights one of the biggest issues that we have, is that this facility was allowed to be placed on town property. It is a town-owned facility. The Groveland Youth Soccer does not own the facility. We do. It's on our property, and we have liability to maintain the facility and/or to remove the facility. And in conversations with the Groveland Youth Soccer, Pentucket Youth Soccer, the summer program that's run out of that particular location, it was said that could we do anything to keep the restroom and keep the facilities, and what could we do? And so, again, taking a closer look at what we have currently versus what we should have, we put together a proposal for constructing a new building that would connect to sewer. And there are different options that are available, which is the dual restroom or a single room restroom. And then we have an estimated sewer, water, and electricity connection cost, and then we have a demolition cost, and then we have a total cost for either of those particular areas that we would go forward with. Again, that being said, some of the cost, again, because this is just a needs hearing and it's not necessarily our full-on application, is just to get an understanding of exactly what we have before us. We have had a lot of conversations with a lot of community members who are willing to donate their time and labor into this project, and their area of expertise, so that could potentially cut down substantially on the cost. But for a total project cost, you're looking at about $150,000 for a dual and $115,000 for a single, which would go a long way in making sure that the facility is done correctly, so that in the future we can properly maintain it, and that includes clean it. Because right now we have the Groveland Youth Soccer who's cleaning the facility, and they want to close the facility when other people use it. But that's not how the facility works, because it is in fact a town-owned facility. And now that we charge individuals to use those fields, we're only charging the Pentucket Youth Leagues $200 for the entire season. So $200 isn't covering the cost for pumping the tight tank for $800. It doesn't cover the cost of mowing. It doesn't cover the cost of any of the town's involvement in the use of the facility. It's a little different than what we have over at Washington, because Washington Park, they actually have a porta-john, so they pay for that. So it's not necessarily something that the town has to maintain, and then as soon as they're done, they remove it from the site. So where we own the facility similar to what we own at the Pines, it's really important that if we are to keep that facility, we either construct something that we can maintain or make it, again, sanitary for all to use, which it should be accessible to all, not just one group of people.
So the field has other uses besides soccer. I mean, I know the 4th of July and various things. So thinking about anticipating future needs at Shanahan, we have a brand-new parking lot that is there, so it seems like that'd be a place where folks would congregate. Do you think that a 1 or a 2 unit situation is it a situation that could be expanded if it needed to be downstream? Or, so what you wouldn't want to do is put in 2 now and say, oh, we need 6 because we have so many things going on or whatever, do you have any thought about that?
For long-term planning, I mean, we have 2 facilities over at the Pines, and it's extremely successful over at the Pines. We have multiple events and multiple things happening at the same time, so we haven't necessarily found that to be a deterrence to the fact that we only have 2, and we would need more. If anything, the proposal for 1 is not the favorable proposal. There is a push for 2, and you'll see included in the proposal is a letter of support from the Groveland Youth Soccer. And they do include that they would like to support the dual restroom, so that it gives more options.
And honestly, if you're looking at the budgetary side of it, I mean, if you're gonna put 1, the difference between 1 and 2, yes, there's some cost difference, but I mean, to double the usefulness of it for the cost, I can't imagine. I mean, I would not be in favor of the 1 over the 2 if the cost numbers are like this.
Agreed.
Or something in that ballpark.
Agreed.
So if you think that the 2 is the right number for now and for downstream for the next 10 years, you'd say, then I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and like we said, we are looking from the select board's perspective as to addressing the fee structure at all of our fields. So it would be different if you were to rent the Washington Park field as opposed to if you were to rent Shanahan, and the same with the Pines, and taking a closer look at that fee structure and what you get out of that and what you have available to you. So it is something from a long-term maintenance perspective that we are taking that into consideration to make sure that those user fees can cover the actual use of those facilities. But again, stressing that it would be open up to all, and CPC funding has the ability for the capital improvement for our existing recreational areas. So we would be looking under the recreational category to submit this application.
Would there be an interest to also add something like that downstream to like Washington Park as well? You know,
Correct. If
all the
that's
same.
something that they would
Yeah.
like to see as well. Because we would like to very much work with the individuals who utilize the fields to make sure that it's more of a collaborative effort so that we can kind of grow into the use of the facilities.
And what is the order of magnitude of the cost of the repairs that's been happening kind of roughly? Do you have any sort of, like, is it 100, 1,000, 10,000, you know, like something?
So the current one that's not done yet.
Right.
Is, I think that was 1,250. I put the quote in
Just for
there.
the most recent repair.
For the actuator repair?
Is 1,300.
Yeah,
So
That's
that's,
1,400.
yeah, so that's the quote. So they'll honor that. And we did when it froze, that was over 2,000.
yeah,
The pumping is $400 a shot. If they do anything else,
yeah.
you can add it on. So the only thing they touch, they'll pump. But if you have some other issue,
Yeah,
it
for sure.
goes up.
Okay.
So we're over 3,000 for a year, probably closer to 4. But it's just gonna keep going.
Right.
Every year, it's gonna be something else, and it'll be close to that, I'm sure.
And it's also then not standardized to the other things that we're putting in town and whatnot. And, you know, I think one of the goals, at least on, you know, in recreation, is that we have, you know, standard facilities so people kind of, you know what you get when you're, you know, when you're in Groveland. And so I would be immensely supportive of the concept of having, if it works at the Pines, it should work at Shanahan, it should work at Washington ultimately.
It'll work better at Shanahan than the Pines, because they have the direct connection to the sewer. And we have the pumps down here, which, so far, so good this year. But there will be no pumping over at, you know, we won't have to pump to the sewer lines. It'll all just be gravity.
Gotcha.
So that's a big, like, you're knocking a lot of stuff down by connecting to the sewer.
Well, and you're also improving the character of what, you know, a place that we've designated. It's in the town master plan as a favorable site. So it's definitely, you know, if we think of what CPC funds are supposed to be used for, this is advancing the master plan as well. And, you know, speaking on behalf of, you know, Recreation Committee, you know, it seems like the kind of thing that will enhance the use of the thing that we already have. So I'm very much in favor.
So if we go ahead, we can put, down at the Pines, we put timed locks on the doors. So they'll open at 7 AM just every day, 7 to
Nice.
8 PM. So if we did that over there, you also have the town trail fairly close to it. So there'd be some people using it off the trail too.
Sure.
Kim, go ahead.
I hate to admit it, but I was with Dick Hodges and Stelios Stigakis when we created the Groveland Youth Soccer League. And my daughter was 4, she's now 45.
Wow.
So, and we used to open the Shanahan School to let the kids and parents use the bathroom in there. It was back when they started to put those temporary, I call them temporary bathrooms in. I said, why aren't you connecting to the sewer line? I watched in 1982 when we put the sewer line in. And it's 23 feet.
The
But
depth.
but with a double trench box, you can get to it.
Yeah.
The other question I had is, had you considered moving the location closer to the new parking lot?
So we did not take a a closer look at the location specifically, but in having conversations with the highway superintendent and Steve, I think that the
And
thought-
water.
And water and sewer was the thought process that the closer it is to the existing facility, the easier it is to tie into the utilities that currently exist, not necessarily sewer, but water and electricity.
Okay.
But we did talk about even making sure that during that process, depending on construction, because as we all know, we never really know what happens during construction, you still have an operating facility while you're constructing the
Oh,
other
yeah,
one
yeah.
too. So it wouldn't necessarily be the exact location, but it would be somewhere in the near vicinity, but I would imagine it would be closer to the parking area.
Yeah, well, the water line, the water main on Main Street runs right along there, so there's no issue with getting to the water main. The power is right overhead, and the sewer line still is right in the middle of Main Street. I was wondering, did you consider putting the plumbing in for a second second toilet in each facility, just leaving it capped? That makes future, I'm in construction, so
Yeah.
that makes future expansion a somewhat minimal expense as far as you buy the dividers for each stall, and you pull the cap and you put a toilet in. And a very minor electrical upgrade. The building size looks more than adequate,
It
and it
could
meets
probably-
all ADA codes, and it could easily be expanded if the use warrants it.
Just from looking at this, it looks big enough.
We can certainly explore again, because we figured, you know, this is the first step in the process of presenting a proposed project idea, to see what the CPC would consider, or would be amenable of us submitting an application, for your review. We can certainly consider that, and that's a great idea. And one of the things, as you know, like the precast structure makes it really easy to kind of make those adjustments. So we can definitely take a closer look and see whether or not that would be something we could do, and then even present a different price comparison as to what that would cost.
You'll find that the actual structure cost won't be any different. And it's just basically some of the add-ons you put into it.
Yes, and there's a
But
checklist of
The
add-ons.
water line hitches up, the same diameter pipe, electrical is the same. The sewer, it don't care, it's all going downhill.
Yeah.
And gets charged through the water meter since it's a town facility. So,
No, that's a
I
great
I
idea.
think it's a good idea. I mean,
It ties into
like I
exactly
said-
what Patrick was saying.
my daughter was 4 when we started.
Anybody else have anything? Go ahead, Mike.
Where did the impression come from that this current facility was owned by anyone else other than the town of Groveland?
The Groveland Youth Soccer League.
Where on earth would they have come up with that from? Do they own the soccer field itself? Do they own the parking facility? Do they own the fence that surrounds it? It's like,
I agree with you full-heartedly. I think that a lot of times, and what we're very fortunate to have here in Groveland, is a lot of volunteers and a lot of parents who care very, very deeply about these sports and about these leagues. And so when they invest so much time, money, and fundraising and efforts into maintaining the area, they get a sense of ownership that might not necessarily be their own, and for theirs to take. So they tend to, you know, if they're, you know, fertilizing, or they, you know, they have irrigation on that field, and they pay for the irrigation. They have an irrigation well. We've never seen a bill. You know, they have their snack shack that's connected to water. We've never seen a bill. So it's been very hard trying to bridge the gap with these leagues to let them know that, you know, this is town property, and while we need and depend on them very much so in order to have these fields and these facilities the way that they are, they have to be in collaboration with the town so that we can, one, make more resources together and have more at our disposal, and then also have the backup if something goes wrong, because it's ultimately the town that will have, again, that's liable for anything that happens at those particular locations. So I think it's just, again, a sense of ownership with all the money and time they personally invested into these areas, when the town, to be honest, I mean, like Steve said, we haven't touched that bathroom in 7 years. The CPC built it, and we haven't touched it. It wasn't until I was like, hey, you know, who owns this? Or, oh, it's broken, or, oh, we saw caution tape
When it
marked
broke.
off on this, you know? What does that mean? Like, until we started asking questions, and then there was a lot of pushback, like, no, this is ours, you can't touch it. And it was like, wait, no, that's not really the case. And again, I don't think there was any ill intent or any, you know, any bad will. I just think that they're, again, because they have been the ones to maintain it for so long, that there is that sense of ownership that is not theirs to have.
Well, and this is kind of, you know, a common thread with how things are going now versus maybe how things were in the past. I think what, at least I see as a member of multiple boards and committees and whatnot, is now the left hand and the right hand are talking together. And so, you know, I think this collaborative process shows, you know, when people don't know what's going on, they make bad decisions. And sometimes the decisions they make impact other areas of town. And while your point is 100% taken, everybody has good intentions, but if we don't know what we're doing and people have disparate understandings of how things are, then that, you know, that can really muck things up. And so this is another good step in, you know, maybe Groveland Youth Soccer will understand a little bit, oh, the town is a partner, not, you know, an obstacle.
And I think that definitely can be seen in the letter that they submitted, is that they want to
Right.
work with us.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually one of the coaches of the Groveland Soccer League this season, and then, you know, have had a bunch of discussions with Carrie about other stuff. So I can happily be a liaison with them as far as, hey, listen, this is how it is, and, you know, and then the energies that everybody spend can be, you know, well used and, you know, stack on top of everyone else's good efforts.
I guess I'm concerned about not just Shanahan, but also Washington Park and the Pines, that no one is under the impression that things that have been paid for with CPA funds belong to anybody but the town of Groveland. Is, you know,
We put a nice big sign on the front of
We
this one.
just voted for banners. We got this.
I know, but I mean, we did a considerable amount of work there at Washington Park, and, you know, I know that the Baseball League does a lot of work there, but I think that should be clarified that, you know, we own at least what we've paid for. I don't know about some of the other facilities that are there, and, you know, frankly, the Pines, the same way. You know, we've invested significant amount of funds there. So, I mean, it doesn't really relate to this directly, but
Yeah, I
But it
feel like
does, because we've actually spent a lot of time trying to bridge that gap with
Yeah.
all of us. That's one of the reasons why we created the public grounds and cemetery, to make sure that public grounds has a central focus and has somebody there that not only just maintains the grounds in general, but puts together a plan as to how that's done, what inventory, assets, make sure that they're all accounted for, including those things that were paid for by CPC funds.
yeah.
Just one quick comment, and I agree with Mike, but we use CPC, say we use CPC money to do the Shanahan, same as was used at the Pines. The CPC money comes from all the taxpayers in town. So it's really their money that bought the facility.
You have anything else?
Yes, so, the facility was built in 2013. So it served its purpose for 12 years, correct? So, you know, is that reasonable for an investment that we've made? I would say for this type of facility, it's not bad. We could invest more money, the town could invest more money to improve it, to keep it going or whatever, but it's probably, at this point, might make more sense to put a new facility in that maybe would last longer. So I think it's a good idea. The question I had is, maybe you can add to any proposal that you end up putting in, is what the comparison cost would be for either maintaining this facility that's there already, and also comparing it with the cost of rented toilets, you know, like they've got at Washington Park.
We can certainly do that. And I do in no way want to diminish the project that was approved by the town and put forward and worked on by the CPC. I do agree that it served its purpose. I think in terms of what I'm thinking is just long-term planning, and that's just where my brain goes, is to think, you know, it should last a little longer than the 12 years. But I agree with you. I don't think it was a wasted effort.
What, do you have a cost of what it takes to maintain the facilities at the Pines per year?
That's a kind of tough one because the finance director, when I started, bought a lot of cleaning material during COVID.
Okay.
So that, we haven't really paid for any cleaning stuff. We do
I'm
Probably-
looking for a guesstimate.
probably 200 rolls of TP a season. It's not much, like
But we can get-
250 to 500. 500 would be a lot.
But we can get you what it takes to
Hard numbers.
winterize, what it
Yeah.
takes to
Oh,
open, what it
yeah.
takes if there's any, you know, fixture issues that arise, like, in any of the, like, probably a 5-year look back at to what it costs
Yeah.
each year with some of the supplies that we have and understanding what it would cost moving forward. So with an assumption, not given the COVID care money that we'd use to kind of stock up and give us a little bit of a base.
Yeah.
But we can get that cost for you.
And the other thing would be, I think the 12 years you got out of the prefabbed units that were delivered, they've more than paid for themselves.
Well, the newer ones, the concrete block, I've seen pictures of like an accident with a semi-truck carrying 2 of these. They literally rolled through a field and there was nothing wrong with them. That's how strong they are. But like the Pines, I mean, when you talk 12 years with what we have, and I've been here 8.5 years, that's how long those have been down there. Those have a very long life expectancy coming.
Yeah.
There's like, I mean, there's a few little pieces of trim that got kicked off at some point, but
You have that in your house.
it's all made of, the Trex, the plastic wood is all the trim. I mean, that's gonna go for a long time down there.
Thank you.
Yeah, the concept of what was kind of a temporary patch to a permanent solution.
Yeah.
Did you have anything, DJ?
Yeah, just quick add. One, I'm in favor. The wonder is if the current building there couldn't be updated to just retrofit, change the services, but with it being a temporary unit that we could update for not a lot of money. We have, 1.3 million, I think, in recreation and monies there. I would be amendable to adding a second stall in each one of these units. I think that would just for room for expansion, whether you put it in now or you put it in later, whatever the case may be, I think it's easy enough to do and have it there. But as far as the expenses, your overhead, it's gonna be, for this situation, it's less, right? Because we're not paying for pumping, we're not paying for having to actuator damage on a regular basis. I have 3 young kids, they use the field regularly, and I have tried to repair the electrical on those things, just trying to, because the wires get pulled out. I don't know how things happen, but it gets wet. It's wet as can be in there.
Yep.
So, and temporary fixes, but it's all temporary. It does cost to be able to
Well-
repair, so.
With the regular, like, standard toilets, down at the Pines, we haven't had any issues with the toilets, I mean, outside of kids plugging them up. But there hasn't been any issues at all with just their basic function. Whereas over here, it's just nuts.
And it's become a weekly thing. It used to
Yeah.
be like last season, it was not as frequent, and now it's become more and more.
Question I have is, you know, given the budgets that's available and whatnot, would there not be some economies of scale to consider doing Washington as well?
We can definitely take a look at the location and propose it if that's something that the committee would like to see.
I mean, if there's cost savings for doing it simultaneously, you know, and it's something that seems like it would be appropriate for the site anyway,
That's a good point, because this is 18 and a half feet long, and a semi-trailer is usually like 53 feet.
Yeah, even if you only save the
That's-
delivery charge, that's
The
still,
delivery charge for just one is like $18,000. So if we,
Could save $18,000 on another thing that we would just be probably proposing in the next 2 years anyway.
probably wouldn't be the full 18, but it would be
No,
significant,
but,
I'm
right,
sure.
something.
no, so that kind of jumps onto what my question was, is let's run the numbers and see if there's any cost savings to add a
Okay.
second one and do Washington Hall, Washington Park. Some level two is, let's spread the wealth around a little bit. We just gave Shanahan an $800,000 parking lot. Maybe these guys can get a bathroom, so they don't have to rent them.
Washington Park would be nice to have a bathroom in there, yeah. And not
yeah,
a, not a porta potty, yes.
The drawback to Washington Park is it doesn't have sewer.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where the sewer connection.
Oh, I know where it runs.
Nowhere near it?
Nope.
Oh,
But one thing I struggled with when my kids were growing up was, and something I'd like to see is like a baby changing station in these as well, to some level, especially, if you're talking about Washington Park with the playground right there. Now it serves a dual use, it's not just the baseball league using it. So I would certainly like to, is this the same structure proposed as what's at the Pines now?
no, those were old Verizon buildings.
Okay,
And
there's some resourcefulness right there.
So Bob Arakalian, he got them somewhere. I don't know how he got them, but he got them, and that was the vision, and it came together pretty good. And, I mean, these are kind of similar, being a block building, and, I mean,
With the cleaning of them and everything in the space, it's like you literally can tie a hose to it and you can just,
Yep, you can
hose
hold
it
Who,
down.
who is gonna handle that aspect going forward, the town or the league?
So that's what we're gonna have to try and figure out exactly what we do, is we charge a cleaning fee to the leagues, or, how we're going to finagle some type of schedule, whether we only clean once a week. I mean, that can open us up to some issues. I mean, Steve's been really due diligence about, the Pines and making sure it's the cleanest facility around. But if you go to a lot of other communities, they usually only clean it once a week, or they have their volunteer groups that they pitch in, or they increase their fees to accommodate such. So we will have to figure out which model would make the most sense in terms of moving forward, because we do not spend any of our tax dollars on these facilities. We use our revolving funds and we use the fees, or excuse me, and we are lucky and fortunate enough to have some
And-
CPC funding
and
available.
we can't use
You
community
cannot.
preservation money for maintenance.
Correct.
It's the number one rule, they'll really slap your hand.
And we wouldn't want you to either. We would want to try and
Right.
find a longer-term solution in terms of sustainability.
And just, I'm just looking at the layout on the floor plan here. What's the big room in the middle?
that's just the maintenance.
Kind of like what you see at the Pines. So you have like your two things, and then you have the
Yeah.
closet in the center. So you have like all of your like hookups in the back, and then you have like a place
Yeah.
for all your cleaning supplies, your buckets, and like,
It seems excessive.
It does look a little big
Yeah.
on the schematic there.
and again, this isn't exactly.
No,
what
no,
we're looking
I agree.
at.
I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I could see like a third bathroom in there and still have a closet.
Yeah,
I mean, this one also shows that there's water bubblers outside. That is not something we are looking at either.
Right.
So, unfortunately.
Chopping up the picture a little bit.
Yes. But if the committee is amenable to exploring this further, we would like to, if invited to, provide an application for the upcoming 2026 round of CPC applications under the recreation category, taking back your feedback and revising the proposal and providing the additional information that was just presented this evening, adding the additional bathroom at Washington Hall, adding the pricing, adding the. additional
Washington Park.
cost.
Washington Hall's
Park,
done.
excuse me, Washington Park, and then also taking into consideration of adding the additional facility hookup or the actual additional facility or structure. What is it called?
Yeah, because these facilities are usually wall-hung toilets, so that the floor is easy to clean. And they, basically, the room in between is basically where all your plumbing will go, and that's where you can be your sewer clean out and everything else. Makes life a lot simpler. To put a second wall-hung unit in there, I don't think you're looking at phenomenal cost. It'll cost you more for the dividers than it will to hang the units.
We look forward to putting that together, if the committee chooses us,
I
or
think-
agrees to do so, and we'll provide all those additional details.
I feel like it's a worthwhile effort, and I
I'm a
think
yay.
that's pretty much
I'm
the
a yay.
consensus.
Does anyone have any opposition?
No?
No?
Nope.
So that's the one proposal, and then
But wait, there's more.
there is more. You don't have to say if you don't want to.
Okay,
Thank you very much, Steve.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, that was helpful.
I'll get a hold of our guy and I'll get some other information for you, including about adding like a future use.
I think you need to put a number on the second
Yeah,
unit with the dividers.
yeah,
Options, it's all about options. That way
Yeah.
we can cherry pick what the best
And the
deal
other
is.
thing is with that, you have to make sure that one of the toilets is handicap accessible, so it's a wider divider with a larger door.
yeah. That's how we are down at the Pines.
Yeah, 'cause
So there's a little skinny one and then there's one that's like 6
I
feet.
deal with ADA every day.
Oh, I got turned on to that working here. Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So the second proposal is a little less developed, so I don't necessarily have a handout for you, but I did want to bring it to your attention and see if the committee would be amenable for us to submit an application, is that, as you'll see in your packet tonight, as one of the project updates that I had provided for the Perry Park feasibility study, we're still working with WDG on the initial feasibility project that was approved by the CPC. And so they're working on translating the concept illustration into AutoCAD and then providing a more detailed design development. And they're currently also working on designing the grading of the site for the walkways, stairs, and the walls. And they're going to be reaching out to the Groveland Historic Society to have a meeting to help them inspire some of the ideas for the potential art pieces and the shelter pieces that we had talked about at our workshop meeting. Those would be when you're walking along on the Chestnut side in the back where there's like a little area that the Eagle Scouts had put together. We're talking about an art installment area in that vicinity, and that would be updated from time to time, so it would be a stagnant spot so that it would showcase a specific piece of art, but it wouldn't necessarily be just one piece, like you could change it out. And then the other structure would be the actual gazebo or pavilion type of structure that would be closer to the roadway, in addition to creating some parking spaces. So they are working on that design and taking it to about 30% design phase. And so the next phase would take us more into the 100% design phase with construction estimates and bid specifications. Once we complete that phase, that will allow us to actually apply for construction funding to actually get the project complete. So because we haven't necessarily seen the final phase of the feasibility concept and the 30% design plans that they're currently working on, again, I don't have a finalized project scope or a cost estimate at this particular time, but we are looking to seek approval from the CPC to begin assembling an application for phase 2, which would again be more of that 100% design, construction estimate, and bid specifications for construction. I'm not, again, sure if the consultant would advise with the work they've already done to do that all together, or if they would advise that we split that up into 2 more phases. So again, without their final report, I'm kind of just giving you the idea. But we have had a lot of feedback in regards to this particular project, a lot of really good feedback. I was thoroughly impressed with the turnout that we had at that community engagement session. We had a lot of neighbors. A lot of neighbors were really glad to see that we were looking at a passive recreation area with walking trail to that art installment with the piece along the roadway to encourage people to slow down and, you know, value the community and try and do something special and unique by adding a specific historic value to those particular areas as well. The church was also really excited to see something happen and trying to make those connections like we've always talked about, from the Pines to Perry Park, down to the Elm Square area, up to Shanahan, up to the trail, and then further on down to hopefully VZ and more. So it's a long connection path, but to create those pathways is really important. And where you have Perry Park and it's just kind of Perry Park, it kind of makes you just stop. And we want it to be a destination on your way to or journey onto another destination. So you can make a day of it. You can, you know, bring your kids to the Pines and you can play on the swing sets and you can walk, and there's going to be like a large like swing installment at the Perry Park, and you can just, you know, have a picnic there and then stop for an ice cream in the square, hypothetically, and then walk on down to the Shanahan and take another stop and sit by the river. Could we added picnic tables and benches, and then walk along the trail. So there's so many different potentials, and giving people the ability to connect to those pathways is really important. So we do see the validity behind this particular project. We do see a lot of support, and we would like to see this brought to the second phase and not just stop with the feasibility, because it has received such positive feedback.
So the second phase is just design, not building anything, finishing
So
the
I'm still
design?
waiting to hear what the consultant would propose, because I do want to get their feedback in regards to what they think would be the proper next steps, but I don't have construction documents for me, so I
Yeah.
would imagine that regardless, that has to be included as part of the phase, so that we have the actual construction specifications, we have the estimate, we have the bid specifications, so that we can then get a contractor and go through the, the RFP process, IFB process.
My sense is whatever can be done between now and December is stuff that's going to be done between now and December, and you'll have as robust of a plan as you can possibly have, mindful that there's a submission deadline, and you want to make sure you keep moving forward in 2026.
So we were told that we were gonna have the final package in October. So we still had time to turn that around and provide an application, because we still have the foundation pieces that we've just discussed, that we've been working with as part of the feasibility study. And this initiative, and I should have started that in the beginning, has really been spearheaded by Stephanie Bartelt. She has put her heart and soul into this project. So she really has been, dedicated to making sure that this moves forward. So I really, I do see a lot of support for this. And I'm not, again, 100% positive that it would just be the design. It could be more, but it would at least start with that. And we could potentially cater back an application if the board said, whoa, you're trying to do too many phases in one setting, or, oh, wait, we're only doing so little with that, why don't you try and expend more? We're definitely welcome to feedback. I just don't have those specifics at this point in time.
And if this is this has the fingerprints of Stephanie Bartelt, I mean, the Bagnell Garden has really turned out super nice and used very little public funding. And, if the idea is that the same sort of brainchild, it's the same sort of brainchild and the same sort of planning and same sort of concept, I'm very, favorable about seeing how it shakes out, because that worked out really well. Just recently, literally.
She did an excellent job with the design phase, too. I mean, she
Well,
was
and then
on
you
top
can,
of that.
well,
on
not,
point.
and it wasn't just a design, it's, you go there and now it's there. And it's, the difference between this year and last year, it's amazing. So, if that's what Perry Park could be in a year or two, then that's outstanding. And, again, maximizing an asset that the town has, that is kind of fallow at this point, and making it into something, more usable. Great. So, fully support.
Any idea on rough cost of what that phase two would be? Nothing.
I don't really have much details. I just reached out again to the WDG for an update on when they were gonna get to us the final report, thinking that they might have some draft that I could review, so I could pull some of those details. And they did not have it available to me, not yet, unfortunately.
Please review for me, because I can't remember. We approved funding for the design scope.
A feasibility study to see what it could potentially look like.
Okay. And is there going to be, in that proposal that's coming next month, is there any design? Or,
30% design, so
okay, well, that's good, that's a good start. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Get as much done as you can. I mean,
Yeah.
like I say, why stop the momentum now?
Not opposed.
definitely. So we'll
Go
put
for
together
it.
an application, and we'll submit that for your review and feedback, so we can alter that as your input allows. And then, it's not my project per se, but I did receive a text message, I just want to put it out there for the record, from Claire Walsh in regards to exploring the Washington Hall parking lot. I had not had an opportunity to connect with her, but she just sent me that message this morning, so I'm not sure if she's gonna attend later this evening or has reached out to the board. But I did just want to put that on the record, that she did reach out to me personally and asked me to meet on the matter. And I would imagine she's looking to proceed with CPC funding, but that's all an assumption. But again, for matters of transparency, I did not want to not share that in case I was supposed to, and I just didn't have a chance to connect with her.
Noted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time this evening, I really appreciate it.
Thanks for your time and effort.
Anybody, Mike's got a project?
Yeah.
Stop it. I don't even believe this. See what I'm coming to. starting to get nervous thinking you didn't have.
Well, I had to come up with something. I'm going to either stand up there or I'll sit over
Go sit
there
over there like a
so that
gentleman.
I can
Yeah,
address everyone.
we set up a whole spot and everything. DJ did.
Okay, Mike Dempsey, Groveland Conservation Commission, also member of this board. So the project that I'm talking about tonight involves the nuisance weed problem at Johnson's Pond. And just for a little background on Johnson's Pond, you know, it's a 155-acre great pond. 67% of it is located in Groveland. 33% of it is located in Boxford. Boxford, and the pond is currently protected as a drinking water source by Mass DEP, and the city of Haverhill has rights to use it as a source of water. Haverhill hasn't used the water source in at least 50 years, and they have no planned use for it. They're planning, they have alternate plans that they're pursuing for their own water source, and they really have no interest in Johnson's Pond. I've worked with the Groveland Water and Sewer Department to pursue taking over the water rights to the pond. It's an ongoing process. It's going to take a long time to get Mass DEP to finally pay attention to it. So that's kind of ongoing. But Johnson's Pond is a primary recreation source for here, for our residents. Haverhill has no interest, again, in using it for that. And Boxford really doesn't either. I've pursued several times with Boxford initiatives about different issues on the pond, and again, they have their own ponds. They don't really care about Johnson's Pond at all. But as I say, for us, it's a significant source to use for boating, canoeing, and also for fishing. So the problem is that we've got a nuisance problem of water lilies, primarily on the Groveland side, at about the 5 to 6 acre inlet portion near Washington Street. There are other areas where the water lilies have shown up on the other side of the pond, not as extreme as they are in that area. But in that area, they cause difficulty when they get that as thick as they are now with boating and fishing. So the idea of this project is to try to address that problem. So here are my notes on what the project is.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mike.
So previously, we've done 2 prior pilot projects, both funded by CPA funds. The last one being in 2022. And they were both effective in clearing out the water lilies, at least in the area by Washington Street. But number one is they were expensive, and it would need to be done kind of on a regular basis, because here it is 3 years later, and we need to somehow clear it out again. So really now we've run into the idea of this would be maintenance. We're maintaining, clearing the pond. So I wouldn't think that we could fund any more of this using CPA funds to just hire a service to do the hydro raking. So the native nuisance plants are white and yellow water lilies, and what happens is when they're new to an area, like Johnson's Pond, they take on an invasive characteristic, so they really grow like crazy, which they have. They float on the top of the water, but their roots go down to the bottom. So when the pond is lower, especially around the edge there, that's where they tend to really take off and grow. And like I say, they're affecting the recreational use of the pond, particularly boating, but even fishing. And since that's what we really want to use the pond, especially on the Groveland side, it causes a problem. So the two main removal techniques are either chemical or physical removal using hydro raking. So we did hydro rake both times that we did this pilot work, and we found that it was very effective, as I say, but it was costly. And the chemical treatment, there's been a lot of studies about using chemical treatment in a number of ponds in Massachusetts, and there's problems with it as far as affecting other plants and aquatic life in the pond, and permitting is difficult. You have to be very careful. It is permitted by Mass DEP, but you have to be very careful about doing it.
Is that a permanent solution, or is that the same concept as hydro raking, where you'd have to do it every so often anyway?
Yes, yes. Neither one of these are permanent. There is no, basically,
Right.
there's
No, I
no
get it.
permanent solution to this.
Sure.
So, I think the preferred route really is hydro raking. So what could we do? So, as I say, we've done it using a service. A company comes in. The cost, you see that it's about $10,000 per acre. We've got about 8 acres of pond area that need to be maintained. And so to do the entire 8 acres every 2 years would be about $80,000. That doesn't include permitting or disposal, but either one of these methods of either hiring a service or doing it ourselves, still, both of them require a permit and both require disposal. So the other idea is to do a town-provided method, and that is where we would purchase a boat that's specifically built for doing this type of thing, and the other equipment that goes along with it. And we would do it ourselves.
Do we have people who would be volunteers for that? Do you have folks kind of lined up?
No.
Okay.
So you can pass that, I didn't print all of these, but you can get an idea of what the equipment looks like there. So what we would need is, we would need buy-in by the Groveland Highway Department to take this on. So it would require them to have one person, one operator, a couple of times a year, a couple of weeks, 2 weeks a year, every year to do this. And, a dump truck that wouldn't be dedicated to it. The removal process is minimal impact. But, you know, so obviously, there's some regular cost requirements beyond just the equipment. I don't think we could rely on a volunteer doing this because you have to kind of know what you're doing and have a little bit of experience with it.
I was
the equipment.
gonna, yeah, is there special training you would need to do that? Like, you can't just throw a highway guy who can drive a skid steer and say, here, now you're driving a boat. It's a completely different operation. I
Yes.
imagine there's some level of training.
Yeah, I think,
I would
yes.
guess it'd be at least a 2-week training period.
Yeah, one would think. And the other thing, just to point out, is like, I would never send someone out in a boat alone.
No,
So, well, you say it's one guy for 2 weeks, but it's probably.
no,
their
but they
guys.
do, they do.
It's
When the service, one person does it all, believe it or not. One person goes out in the boat, picks up the stuff, brings it in, dumps it onto the shore.
That's a crazy.
it's just a crane. It's a crane for the water. It looks like it just digs it out.
Yeah, yeah.
The other question I have, and I'm looking at it, and then, is then the town will have to supply an operator.
Yep,
The town will also have to supply an operator and a dump truck.
yeah, not,
And then it says right there that this machine will produce how many 100-ton?
Lots. 100 tons a day.
100 tons a day.
that's
And-
before you dewater it.
Yeah, I know, but still, you're gonna load the truck, say to load the truck 10 times and have it, take it up to the town yard and dump it?
Yeah,
Do we have capacity at the town yard?
yeah. When we did this before,
Yeah,
it was dumped at 150 Center Street. And after about 2 months, you couldn't even see it anymore. It totally dried up and went into the ground.
okay.
So,
But still, it's manpower,
yes,
it's not the cost of the boat and all the fancy equipment. It's,
well, yes, there, it has it's just like the town buying, a street sweeper.
yeah,
You know, it's not just the cost of the sweeper, it's also the cost of training someone to use it and.
Maintenance.
And doing it, right?
So,
the
right,
town,
so,
the town would have to build into its budget
Yes,
the maintenance and the manpower.
yes, exactly.
so
And,
have you had any preliminary discussions with the town about this?
no, I haven't spoken with Arthur about it.
Okay,
But, you see my steps and.
Oh,
and
sorry.
One is right
There it
down
is.
there.
there it is.
If I was gonna put a proposal in for this, we gotta figure out what is the best equipment option that we need, how big of a unit do we get, because it's.
And for the people at home who don't have the benefit of looking at the stuff, you couldn't just like retrofit some boat to do this. It's like a specialized piece of equipment. It looks more like a crane than a boat.
I wonder if there's a service where you could rent that. Kind of split the difference, rent the boat, let them deal with the maintenance, whatever, provide an operator, scoop the stuff up. We only use it every year for a couple of weeks.
Not as far as I know, but that
Yeah,
doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Perhaps something to look into.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And then, I just have a question on the chemical treatment cost-wise as compared to these other things. I know that's not the preferred method, but I'd like to see. If it's safe and they're doing it other places, I'd like to see what that looks like to use as a comparison.
Would that be, I'm sure we can find out. I'm wondering with MWRA having as a water source, might have part of that, right? Mm-hmm. Because it feeds into Haverhill. Currently, it's Haverhill Water Source, which is
Yeah.
their own, so I don't know, I'd be interested to see.
Just more a curiosity thing and just kind of something else to weigh it against.
No, this is a brainstorming session.
We're here to help.
So because it's a potential drinking water source, is there any state requirement of maintaining, like, does the muck that's there impact the availability of drinking water or not really? No, doesn't have any impact at all. So we wouldn't be able to, have the state kick in to take care of that as a result of having that piece.
No, unfortunately.
What happens if we don't do anything?
Well, eventually, it seems, I mean, I can't really
No, I
say,
understand.
but it seems like eventually the outer edges of the pond are just going to continue to grow and make it so it's totally useless as far as boating is concerned.
Can you get a boat out there with it in its current,
You
how hard
can.
is it?
You can, but what happens is, I was speaking with a couple of people that were canoeing, and they said they can get through it, but what happens is the lilies get all clogged on your paddles, and, so they have to kind of clean it all off.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a pain in the neck.
Is there, there's gotta be a way to handle this, like, what, so they grow up out of the dirt in the bottom of the pond, and they go up to the water.
Yes.
Is there, and I know you're not a marine biologist or anything like that, I'm just asking and throwing it out there, is there, if we raise the water level, dug the ground deeper, put sand in there, is there some sort of alternative that once we handle this, it can be just good for more than 2 years?
There's all kinds of ways to try to deal with it, okay? You can put dye in the water so that it's darker down by the bottom of the pond, so not as much light gets down there. You also can raise the level so that, again, not as much sunlight gets down to the bottom. You can totally drain the pond and let them totally dry out. It kills them, and then you refill the pond. But, it's
You'd pay
a
that.
That
large
pond is-
pond.
Well, and then everything else dies too.
Is that
Yeah.
pond, that pond is spring fed, correct?
Well, it might be partly, but it also has a water that comes in from Haverhill.
Is there a saturation point where like, okay, this is as much water lilies as we're ever gonna get because they don't go out to the middle, say?
Well, I don't
No,
know,
I-
but
think it has to do
I
with depth.
see
What's that?
Has to
what,
do with depth, I think.
Yeah.
Just by the way that the
So
light.
at the deepest parts of the,
yeah, it doesn't, most of the effect of them are around the edges. But, in that part that 5 acre piece is probably maximum 4 or 5 feet.
what about putting in like a launch? So that people could, put
Like a dock down?
like
over the-
a dock,
over the
oh,
lilies,
yeah,
and then jump
like
over
that's
into them?
further, that goes further out into and people could use that as an access point. Because that's something we could fund.
Well, we.
And I mean, again, this is a spitballing brain.
No,
we're not-
that's fine. We don't need to fund that. There's a state agency that funds this kind of stuff. Okay? But they believe, and Rebecca and I have met with the director of that department, and they're dying to fund stuff for us.
Sure.
But they believe that putting a dock in right where it is at Washington Street is what they prefer because there's parking there.
We're
and-
talking at the base of VZ Drive?
Yes, right. As opposed to, there's another spot further down at the top of the hill, and then you go down by the water that's, outside of that 5 acre piece.
Yeah.
But they don't really want to do it there because it's not as accessible.
What about filling it in?
Filling it in?
Fill in the shallow part?
Well, then you'll have a new shallow part where,
Well, not necessarily.
The only thing is, I was wondering,
no?
you're gonna have to back a
Where's-
dump truck up to take all the
Yes.
hydrojetted
Oh, yeah.
products.
There's difficulty, believe me,
So
Kim. I
where
know, there's
would you-
difficulty with
I
that.
know, but I'm
We-
thinking, where would you propose to build a station where a dump truck can back in and the boat can access it?
Yes.
Wouldn't be there at VZ.
Well, that's where we did it. We did do it there before, but it's not the preferred location, believe me.
Yeah.
The only way we did it was we got a donation from Larry Kelly of a huge tractor that could reach that far to take the stuff and put it into a dumpster.
Yeah.
But there's another location,
Is it over by the old pumping station?
no,
Office
it's,
Center?
at the end of Benjamin Street. There's a town-owned parcel there, and, that's a perfect location, because there's nothing there. So,
Yeah.
but that's, you bring up a good point, because that's another consideration, right?
Yeah,
It's
well,
like, how are you gonna get it in there and out all the
you
time?
could spend $25,000-$30,000 just to build a station, a place that'll support
Yes,
a 10-wheeler.
yes, right?
And never mind, put 6 ton of gook in it.
Yes.
Is that the technical term?
No, it was the
I've
only
heard
thing
it.
that came to my head.
So, Mr. Chair, I think that this is a project that we would need the more information, like,
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it, but it's something that we would like to, could see.
Yeah.
We have no idea what the expected cost is gonna be, no clue the undertaking, or if we can even do it.
Yeah.
But bringing it before us.
Yep.
I think yes, if it's something doable, but you could get a quote here and it could be $2 million, right? Who knows?
Yeah, no, I
It
don't,
could be, that machine is legit. That's a solid piece of machinery.
oh, yeah, yeah.
And having someone, it doesn't probably require a license, but someone would need to be trained on it, right?
Yeah.
And that's,
Lifts more than you got, it needs a license.
it does say in that license, yeah. I Googled
If-
I Googled it real quick and I didn't
If
see anything
If
that.
it's got a boom on it,
Yeah, it's got a
It- it-
hydraulic boom. and
it needs a hydraulics license. The only other thing I was a little concerned about is that you've got an estimate here of 8 acres every 2 years for $80,000. So we're looking at $40,000 a year. Technically, that's maintenance per year, and community preservation can't pay for maintenance.
No, that's if we hired a company to do it.
Okay. And,
Right.
but then, I was just looking at, our CPC gets 3% tax money from the
Yeah.
town.
Yeah,
So you're looking at spending $300,000 of tax money to get the donations to afford the yearly costs. I'm just doing numbers in my head. I might be way off. But, I
right, well,
agree,
look, just-
it
right.
looks like a good project.
Yeah, and that was my point. I think that there's a
Yeah,
lot
I
of,
think
a lot of
there-
unknowns.
there's
in it.
10,000 questions we could sit here and ask all night, but in the interest of,
well,
I think you've got an idea of what we're looking for.
yes, so.
I don't
all-
think it's a bad idea.
All I wanted tonight was to bring this, because Ed brought it up.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
wasn't even thinking of doing this. Ed said, well, what are we doing? So then I looked, I had all this information about when we did it before, so I said, all right, so what could we do? It doesn't make sense, or it's really not possible to fund using CPA funds anymore, hiring a company to do it. So the only other way to do hydro raking then is to do it ourselves. And that has been brought up before by former select board members who thought, gee, why don't we just buy a boat and do it ourselves? So I put that all together. So I just wanted tonight to get some feedback, and I've got that, on what else we might need to put in a proposal. I definitely need to get the highway department on board.
Yeah.
If the highway department's not on board with this, then it's not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then,
Does the highway
You know-
department actually have a director?
Yes.
yeah, so I mean, they might wanna be the ones that put in the proposal if they really believe that this is a good thing and they wanna get
I
to
just
do it.
didn't know if maybe you could put together some numbers as
Oh,
far as
yeah,
what the cost estimate, what the budget for the highway department
Right.
would increase.
right,
to-
what's the impact gonna be?
For
Yeah,
labor and materials.
Yep.
Those are the things that a common taxpayer would want.
Oh, yeah, definitely, definitely. And, I think to get everything done, to be able to do this on a regular basis is probably somewhere in the $200,000 ballpark. But then, you know, if that's what we spend and that's gonna buy us the ability to keep the pond clear and the highway department's on board with whatever it's gonna cost, you know, it's doable.
There's a potential.
I would like to,
Oh, no, it's okay.
I'd like to see a life expectancy on the boat as well.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, that's always just like bathrooms, right? They
Yeah. I don't subscribe to 12 years is enough for bathrooms for that much money.
No, but it's true. What can you do, right?
but,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
anything else?
No, that's all for now.
All right.
That doesn't mean I'm not gonna come back to something.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'll count on it. Anybody else?
I have a quick one. I'm not going to run down there for this. I don't have a full blowout right now of what everything looks like. I have a generalized concept of bringing a project forward to install lighting at the Pines and some of the areas where there are fields that are unlit currently. The one as you look at the back on the far right doesn't have any lighting whatsoever. The smaller field on the left has very old lighting, which might be able to be retrofit and have us experience a really nice cost savings on the operation side of it, because lighting technology from when they were installed originally to now has become so much better. And I also am exploring the possibility of putting permanent lights over where the football uses that one side of the field, and they have portable generators currently. So the project concept is lighting at the Pines. It was originally going to be bootstrapped with something Rebecca was doing, but it turns out that the lighting providers for sports lighting are somewhat different than what we would need, than what she would be using for the other side. So the project necessarily has to be bifurcated. So I am trying to work up estimates and things like that, and I expect to be putting something forward in December, and obviously I'll report back as we get closer.
Have you talked with Groveland Electric?
I did, and they were party to the discussions when we were trying to do everything as kind of like a one piece altogether.
Yeah.
But that was where it was discovered that the lighting contractors that would do the rest of the work weren't even willing to explore, even if we got donations of the poles, even if we got donations of the labor to put things up, like they wouldn't even quote us the equipment, because
Are you dealing with Musco?
I think that's right, yeah.
They won't play ball with anybody. Why don't you and I connect after this, and I can kind of point you in the direction of a couple of vendors that will play ball.
Sounds good.
Musco isn't the only game in sports lighting, they just like to think that they are.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's the concept for me is wherever we have town assets already, things that we can do if we're spending money to enhance them so that they're more usable, so that they can generate more revenue or have more utility to the town in various ways.
I agree. I had spoke with the football league last year, because
We had talked about this a little bit.
Mentioned this, and they're paying money to rent those generators. I'm sure they'd rather pay that in field use, and everybody wins off it.
Exactly, like the town wins and they win, and it's a better structurally and all that good stuff. So further details to come, but we'll link up for sure.
Yep. All right, anybody else? Going once, twice, everybody's left.
I'll move to close the public hearing at 7:48 PM.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, public hearing is closed. Next up on the agenda, Crosstown Recreational Trail.
Yes.
Did you get anywhere with that, Mike? or was
I'm
it on a
working on
holding
it.
pattern?
No, I'm pursuing two things. One is, remember we had two quotes from companies on design. So one of the least expensive one, I'm pursuing with them, adding the cost of building the project. And I've also talked to another company that I know of that does this whole thing, and having them give me a quote on design and build for the trail. So I'm hoping,
Are you confident that you're gonna be able to get that in the existing budget, or are we gonna go with a new
I have
project
no,
for next
I
year?
have no idea. I'm hoping, obviously, not with that first company.
Well, yeah, clearly.
Right, because they were already at 14,000. But I'm hoping that the second company, all they do is trails, so I think that they may come in at a little tighter scope than what was presented by that other proposal, and certainly by the one that was 53,000. It was ridiculous. So hopefully.
So, all right,
But
so-
we should know probably in a month at our next meeting, or sometime this fall. We
I'll leave
should
it on
know.
there and I'll just keep on
Yep.
you about it.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we have an update on the Congregational Church Bell Project. They are still pursuing their preservation restriction before they can get forward with anything else. Affordable housing project, they have something on the books for next month to kind of take the next step into that. Unfortunately, it looks like it's not going to be in time to do something this year, so it will likely turn into a 2027 project. Update on the trail enhancement project.
Yeah, so still working on getting actual as-built kind of cost projections. I'm working with the various contractors on the hard supplies, right? So benches,
Yep.
you know,
Is that,
waste and whatnot, and all that sort of stuff. Making progress there.
is the big belly on its way?
I have to talk to Rebecca. That was kind of her baby.
Gotcha.
Scheduled visits on the last two trails. I don't necessarily think that the scope needs to be modified. I think our budgeting contemplates was coming, but I wanna go over some numbers with Mike and.
Yeah, no, like I say, I,
We may need a scope.
I
modification.
err on the side of caution. I think you've
Yeah.
got plenty of money in there, but just, you know, it was
I think
billed as all volunteer, so,
I don't know that installing the hard stuff was. I mean, certainly, there was a component, but
like I said.
regardless, we'll have a more substantive update in a month. And we're working on, getting some hard numbers so that you have some real data to work with.
all right. And you say, I'm sorry, I cut you off. You got the schedule, the last two trails.
Last two trails, so we can confirm that, placement of various items and whatnot. For the four that we looked at, we had really good agreement about, where stuff should go. And it was pretty much in line with the diagrams you guys got. There were a couple of places where we changed some stuff, but it wasn't, like substantive.
Do you anticipate any installations or anything before winter, or is this?
Uncertain. It's possible, but it's more likely that we'll be installing stuff in the spring. But purchasing, I'd like to get things locked down and make sure that we, because the longer we wait, the more expensive stuff gets and all that sort of stuff. So, the concept is to hammer down the hard stuff. I think of the wood cost and making, signs and things as more of a soft cost because it's, we're buying wood and we're using, people labor more,
Yeah,
so I wanted to get the things that are
Your benches,
more,
your trash barrels.
Right, exactly
your
so.
Big money items.
yeah. And then, and we'll definitely have a better update in a month.
All right. Well, next up, we have the current account balances, which Rebecca was kind enough to hand out. So I've got it for the open projects, and then I have the total, which I think is more what we were looking for. So we have in the general/recreation fund, $1,314,306.15. In the open space fund, $772,219.86. In the historic fund, we have $181,432.86. In the community housing, we have $1,083,395.28. In the administrative account, we have $33,250. And earmarked for ongoing projects is $1,304,626.10.
So, we're back with, community housing, how to wisely spend some of that money.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes back to the affordable housing project. Once we get a trust fund set up, then we can kind of start spending it, but I feel like our hands are basically tied until that point.
Yep.
And that passed at town meeting. this
It did,
past-
it's just,
Right.
working with the
yeah.
consultant to get it going, it's just not gonna happen before December.
Well, I think-
100%.
Isn't that where we have to, you actually have to form a corporation?
Yeah, there's a lot of like paperwork.
It's the smart paper shufflers.
Yeah.
I know one of those.
That is ongoing,
Yeah.
and they are working on it, but they're meeting in September or October.
Yeah, yeah.
and I just don't think the turnaround's gonna be fast enough to get it through.
I think that's true.
Any other questions on that or discussion?
And we should be getting our numbers soon for
The
this
match?
fiscal year match. Usually it comes out in late October.
I feel like they sent an estimate out
Yeah,
a
they
few
did.
months ago, and
Yep.
it was like 15%.
Well, it's pretty low
Yeah.
because the amounts were down, the collections were down
It's, housing market's picking up, so maybe that number will come.
with all these $1,000,000 house sales, yeah.
All right, next up, we have an update from the town administrator. Perry Park, we already discussed. Skate park at the Pines, we're excited to share that construction of skate park at the Pines is scheduled to begin on September 22nd, with Spawn Ranch serving as a lead contractor. In preparation for construction, the Groveland Highway Department will begin site prep work this week, which includes stripping topsoil, grading the site to create a stable and properly contoured foundation. The full build-out of the skate park is expected to progress steadily, with project completion targeted by the end of the 2025 calendar year. Pines Recreation Area Access Improvements. The Pines Recreation Area Access Improvements Project is nearing completion with only a few remaining punch list items to be addressed. One outstanding issue involves the irrigation system, which was impacted during the extension of the water line. We are currently holding a contingency to address this and any other final adjustments as needed. We anticipate a full project closeout by the end of the 2025 calendar year, pending resolution of these final items. Shanahan Field access improvements. The project engineers have been on site reviewing the final punch list items in coordination with the highway superintendent. They are also taking a closer look at the reported drainage concerns. Additionally, some comments have been raised regarding the differences between the approved and what was constructed. I want to clarify that the plan reflects the design formerly approved by the Select Board. The only modification made during construction was the addition of a wooden guardrail installed to provide added protection for the resident of the unit owned by the Historic Society. As you'll see, the charging stations and layout are consistent with the approved design. And then it gives a link to the Select Board's approval of the plan. Pine Shade and Seeding, we're in the final stages of securing quotes with the contractor through the process. Though the process has taken a bit longer than initially anticipated, we expect to issue a notice to proceed in the near future and remain on track to complete the project by the end of the 2025 calendar year. In the meantime, the donated bench has been successfully installed along the river as previously approved by the Select Board. This addition is already enhancing the space for passive recreation and community enjoyment. Cemetery preservation, there was a brief pause in the restoration work due to an unforeseen illness on the contractor's end. However, the contract has been extended, and we fully expect the work completed within the 2025 calendar year as previously discussed. Public grounds and cemetery supervisor has been working closely with the vendor to ensure the project stays on track and the preservation work meets the town's standards. That concludes the town.
Where are they
administrator-
gonna seed, hydroseed in the pines?
There was no hydro seeding in the pines, was there?
That's just what,
No.
oh, shade, pine shade and seeding, excuse me.
Seeding, not seeding.
Close.
Sorry, I'm a mumbler from way back, I can't help.
It's okay.
All right, set date and time for next meeting, that will put us on October the 13th, I believe.
Columbus Day.
Sure is, isn't it?
I mean,
Is it?
yeah.
Oh, that Tuesday is the select board, so could be the 20th.
I mean,
Well, the select board. Yeah, so, yeah, that Tuesday will be a select, it's actually the 6th.
the select board is the 6th?
What's that?
What is
No.
the 6th?
No, the select board is that Tuesday after Columbus Day, so we can do the 6th or the 20th.
Oh, okay.
I- Whatever the general consensus is, makes no difference to me.
Flexible.
Either for me.
6 is fine.
10:06 it is. 6:30 PM. All right, next up, we have approval of minutes from the 7:14 and 8:11 meetings attached.
I'll move to approve the minutes from the 7/14/2025 meeting and the 8/11/2025 meeting.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. All right, other items not reasonably anticipated. Linda, you have anything?
No.
Patrick?
I do not.
All right.
What's going on with the Vito Museum?
I met with them last month to kind of see where they're at in their planning process. It is TBD, they don't really have a plan. I'm going to meet with them again on Thursday
Oh, this week?
this week to kind of try and help them finalize a plan and then see if it fits in the allotted dollars.
Yep.
So I volunteered to them to take over as project manager for that project to kind of see it over the line. And I'm meeting with their group, and they seem to be on board for doing that.
Is your concept that, in all likelihood, this is going to be a 2026 project that you start?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't.
That was my sense also, but again.
I don't think the money works.
Right.
We're going through and still kind of crunching the numbers.
Yeah.
I'm taking stuff that Clear has and stuff that they've been sitting on for 8 years and trying to make heads or tails of it, but my gut says no.
Gotcha.
But
the second part is what I was maybe more,
I will 100% push it forward as a 2026 project.
Gotcha.
If the money doesn't math.
got it.
The other part that's tough is they're tied to the scope from the original 2017 project, which has already been pretty well deviated from.
Yeah.
And, now maybe some of the things that were originally proposed, they don't really want to do, they would rather do something else. So again, I think the right approach is to probably finalize a plan, get some estimates, put together a proposal, and try again. But they have a committee, they'll decide what they want to do. I will
Yeah.
help or go away as directed.
So,
Understood.
I understand, the amount of work that it's gonna take to finalize a plan, get estimates before you even know if you've got enough money to do those things, et cetera, is probably as much work as putting a new proposal together.
Oh, believe me, that's the angle I'm taking.
Right. But the piece that's missing from that is to take it to town meeting and get it approved. So I think that has to be taken into consideration where you've already got, town meeting already approved this work.
They've
And
approved it
so-
17 times.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying, that, sooner or later, town meeting is gonna say, what's going on here? I thought we voted to approve this last year.
No,
you know?
and I agree, but
So-
I think it could easily be explained that, again, I wouldn't have put it through last year, but someone did, so it is what it is. And we talked about it ad nauseum, saying there wasn't gonna be enough money.
I think
But
what Mike might be saying, without saying it explicitly, is that maybe it would be a good idea for you to conceptualize this project as a 2026 project and start to look at the numbers for that, because the time it would take to do that and get a real fully fledged out plan, it's, September 8th right now, and December will be coming around quicker than you know. So while you're waiting for the folks to talk about the $18,000 that's been approved, you may want to put forward a more robust plan that takes into account today dollars and,
I agree, and I think.
and maybe additional,
I just kind of got my foot in the door at the last meeting. I didn't want to upset the apple cart too bad. We'll see how Thursday goes. And,
fair enough.
and I'm open to whatever. If we can make it work, great. But I just,
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it could go either way, right
Right.
now.
it could. But unless somebody brings something earth-changing, I'm thinking it's going to go as new project.
Well, I would just say, the concern that I think.
But my theory is, guys, you're on, because if you don't decide we're gonna do it as a new project today, and we're gonna try and do this, and then it turns out we can't, now you have to wait a whole nother year, and everything just
Well,
got more expensive.
That's exactly what I was getting at. We don't want this to get to be a 2027 project.
No, I wanna see it done.
Yeah, agree. I think there was universal support for it.
Yeah, and going back to town meeting, I'm not worried about.
Yeah. You get approval for whatever you want to get this thing done, because it is a very important piece of Groveland history.
But I want it done. Approval, and 3 months later, I want that project done with a bow on it.
Agree?
And I'll give it everything I have to make that happen. But I'm also not trying to steal it from the people who originally.
Understood.
I'm trying to play nice in the sandbox.
I understand.
But with the intention of getting the project completed.
Yeah, I think the main problem right now is that there's not a clear vision of what the whole project is gonna be,
Agreed.
and so that's kind of the thing that could push it one way or the other.
Well,
because-
the problem is, everyone's tied up in the details, but we don't even have the broad scope of what's gonna be done.
Yeah,
We're
is
worried about
this-
what's gonna go in the cabinet.
Right.
Not-
Is this a museum? What's gonna be there? What's it supposed to represent?
Yeah.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So like I say, where do you, because now I'm confused on where your thoughts are on it.
No,
Right.
well,
Would you rather see it get what it deserves with extra money for 2026, or would you rather see it half completed with 2025?
I feel that it could, from what should be done, it could be done with the remaining $52,000 that's there. Like, we hold it to that budget. Hey, you want it, whatever you gotta do is gonna fit. And so come up with a list of what you want done based on what the scope was, which was pretty broad, or not, you know what I mean? But, see, I think what you're saying is true, because I don't even know if they've got a real idea of what it should be. So
No.
it's probably
Well,
better to.
Well, the other part is the original scope calls for taking out windows and blocking off walls.
Yeah, well,
And
right.
it's like, well, you can't just like say,
No.
no, we're not doing that.
Well, no, but it's, yeah, exactly. yeah.
So it's like I say, you're kind of tied to that original scope that was written, in my opinion, to some level. So like, if you're not gonna do the things in the original scope, then you might as well throw it away and start over.
Well, yeah.
Which is what I've been saying for a year and a half, but
No, but, you know, part of the problem is, again, the group, I don't think they really, you know,
we learned a lot when we
yes,
met.
yes,
So
that's good, that's good.
hopefully, we can keep it going.
All right.
and I will gladly report back next meeting.
All
where
right, that sounds
stands.
good, thank you, thank you.
Anything else?
No.
I have got nothing. DJ?
I appreciate you taking taking that on, because I know it's not a small feat to do, so thank you. Because I'd like to see it done as well, but I don't know how that'll work out. Thank you.
My pleasure. Kim? All right.
With that, at 8:09 PM, I'd move to close the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned, 8:09 PM.
Good night, Groveland. Thank you.